The silence of the night was shattered by one of the most unexpected moments in BTS history. Jin, the eldest member of the group, appeared at Jungkook's doorstep carrying not just a gift, but also an apology that left the youngest member in tears. The scene, both shocking and emotionally charged, immediately raises questions. What could have compelled Jin to show up so personally? And why did Jungkook break down in front of him? Was this simply a private reconciliation? Or does it point to deeper tensions within BTS that the public has never fully understood? The moment was not staged on a public stage, not performed under the glare of stadium lights, but unfolded quietly in a private space, Jungkook's own home. That very detail alone magnifies its intensity. The act of Jin stepping into Jungkook's personal world instead of addressing matters through distant gestures suggests that something critical had occurred, something unresolved, something demanding more than just words spoken through screens or on stage. What could drive an artist of Jin's stature, at the peak of his global recognition, to stand humbly at his younger member's door with a visible sense of regret? Eyewitness accounts, though limited and unverified, have already sparked waves of speculation. Reports suggest that Jin carried a carefully prepared gift box, which Jungkook initially hesitated to accept. Yet when Jin uttered his apology, Jungkook's composure broke. His eyes welled with tears, his voice cracked, and for a moment, the golden magne of BTS, so often celebrated for his unshakable charisma, stood exposed in raw vulnerability. What exactly did Jin say in that moment? Was it a simple, "I'm sorry"? Or did it carry the weight of something far heavier that the public has not yet been told? For fans worldwide, the sight of Jungkook crying is not new. Concerts and emotional speeches have revealed his tender side many times. But this incident is different. This was not a performance, not a rehearsed expression meant for the cameras, but a spontaneous outpouring of emotion triggered by a personal gesture from Jin. The gravity of this event is amplified by the timing. Why now? Why did Jin choose this moment, of all times, to make his way to Jungkook's home? Was there an underlying conflict between the two that the public had overlooked, or was this apology connected to the broader pressures BTS has endured in their journey? Such questions reverberate across the global BTS community. Armies have long admired the bond between Jin and Jungkook, often interpreting their interactions as a mix of playful teasing and genuine care. Yet beneath the surface of laughter and camaraderie, relationships in any group, especially one under such immense scrutiny, are bound to face moments of strain. Could this late-night visit represent a resolution to hidden tensions? Or is it instead a gesture aimed at repairing something that had been quietly breaking? The gift Jin brought with him is perhaps one of the most mysterious elements of the evening. Descriptions vary, but sources indicate it was not extravagant in the way celebrity gestures are often imagined. Rather, it appeared simple, thoughtful, and deeply personal. This has led many to wonder, was the gift symbolic, carrying meaning only Jungkook would understand? Could it have been an item tied to their shared memories, or something Jin had held onto, waiting for the right moment to give? The unanswered questions surrounding that gift only deepen the sense of intrigue. What is undeniable is the emotional impact of the scene. Jungkook's tears, his inability to contain the flood of feelings, reflect the profound weight of Jin's presence and words. Observers have debated whether these were tears of relief, sorrow, forgiveness, or a combination of all three. And this uncertainty fuels the speculation. What exactly had transpired between Jin and Jungkook before this night? Why did it take such a dramatic gesture for emotions to finally be released? In a larger narrative of BTS, this incident holds a significance that cannot be dismissed. The group has always been celebrated not only for their music, but for their brotherhood, the sense that 7 individuals became a family through shared struggles and triumphs. Yet families are not free from conflict. Disagreements, regrets, and apologies are inevitable in relationships that run so deep. Jin's decision to seek out Jungkook in such a direct, personal way underscores this reality, reminding fans that the members' bond is not merely a performance for the world but a living, evolving relationship marked by moments of both joy and pain. There is also the question of timing. The pressures on BTS members in recent years have been immense. Global tours, personal obligations, and individual projects have often pulled them in different directions. The strains of maintaining unity under such circumstances cannot be underestimated. Could it be that Jin's apology was tied not to a specific incident, but to the accumulation of unspoken words and unresolved feelings that had built up over time? And could Jungkook's tears represent not only his personal emotions, but also the release of collective tension that has lingered within the group? Fans are left to interpret, to speculate, and to piece together meaning from fragments. Some argue that this moment is proof of the deep humanity behind the global icons, a reminder that even the brightest stars grapple with personal struggles. Others see it as a sign of potential fractures within the group, questions that demand careful attention. What cannot be denied is the power of the scene itself. Jin, standing at Jungkook's door with humility and sincerity, and Jungkook, breaking down in response for ARMY. This event is not just a passing anecdote. It is a mirror reflecting the fragile yet resilient nature of human connection under the harshest spotlight imaginable. It forces a reckoning. Do we view this as a moment of weakness, or as a powerful testament to the enduring bonds between BTS members? Does this strengthen the narrative of their unity, or does it challenge the perfect image many fans have held onto? Ultimately, the unanswered questions are what make this story so compelling. What exactly did Jin apologize for? Why did Jungkook react with such uncontrollable emotion? Was this a personal matter that spilled into public awareness? Or is it a signal of deeper dynamics within BTS that may one day come to light? The lack of clarity is what keeps the tension alive, what keeps fans searching for meaning in every detail, and so, the image lingers. Jin's unexpected appearance, Jungkook's tears, the gift handed over, the apologies spoken in hushed tones. A scene at once intimate and monumental, private yet destined to echo across the world. It is a reminder that even legends are human, that even amidst fame and glory, the need for forgiveness and reconciliation remains universal. And it leaves us with one haunting question. What really happened between Jin and Jungkook that night? The aftermath of Jin's unexpected visit is perhaps even more striking than the visit itself. In the days following, discussions among ARMYs worldwide spiraled into intense debates, dissecting every possible interpretation of Jungkook's tears. For some, the act was seen as a long-awaited reconciliation, the kind of healing moment that could only occur when pride was set aside. For others, it sparked a deeper anxiety. If such a visible and emotional apology was necessary, what had been fractured beneath the surface, and how long had it been left unaddressed? The duality of relief and worry continues to dominate conversations across fan communities, proving that this single private encounter has left a public aftershock with lasting consequences. Reactions online demonstrate the scale of the impact. Some fans described the moment as heart-shattering yet healing, while others admitted they felt a sense of betrayal, confessing that they had long believed the bond between Jin and Jungkook was unshakable. Yet perhaps this is precisely why the moment is so important. It strips away the illusion of perfection and instead presents something raw, real, and deeply human. The image of Jungkook crying in front of Jin is not an image of weakness, but of authenticity, of emotions too heavy to suppress. It forces both fans and critics alike to reconsider what it truly means to follow BTS. Are we witnessing flawless idols, or are we witnessing men who, despite their global stature, must still navigate the complexities of human relationships? Attention has also turned toward the symbolism of the apology itself. In Korean culture, acts of apology often carry profound significance, especially when performed in person. To arrive unannounced, to stand at someone's door with sincerity, is an admission that cannot be taken lightly. Jin's gesture, therefore, transcends a simple apology. It is a declaration of accountability, a recognition that whatever had transpired was serious enough to demand not just words but presence. The decision to face Jungkook directly rather than from a distance underscores the gravity of the matter, highlighting a responsibility that Jin refused to ignore. Equally important is Jungkook's reaction. Tears can be interpreted in countless ways: grief, relief, anger, gratitude, or even exhaustion. Yet in this case, the immediacy of his tears suggests a release of emotions long held back. Was he carrying resentment, hurt, or disappointment that only Jin's apology could unearth? Or were his tears born from the overwhelming relief of finally hearing words he had been waiting for? The ambiguity is precisely what makes this moment so powerful. It resists simple explanation, leaving space for interpretation, debate, and continuous analysis. Observers have also pointed out the striking contrast between Jungkook's usual image and what transpired that night. Known as the Golden Magne, Jungkook is often portrayed as resilient, adaptable, and unbreakable in his versatility. To see him undone so completely, his guard shattered in the privacy of his home, is a reminder that even the strongest personas carry vulnerabilities beneath the surface. This duality, public strength versus private fragility, creates a complex narrative that resonates deeply with fans who themselves navigate similar contrasts in their own lives. Speculation about the contents of the gift has only added fuel to the fire. Was it an item of personal significance, perhaps something tied to their trainee days or earlier memories? Could it have been something Jin had held onto during his military service, now offered as a symbolic gesture of continuity? Or was it something entirely unexpected, a message wrapped in material form that only Jungkook could decipher? The secrecy surrounding the gift has transformed it into a focal point of curiosity, its mystery serving as a metaphor for the unanswered questions that continue to surround this incident. Within the broader narrative of BTS, this event can be seen as a turning point. It challenges the carefully curated image of unity that has defined the group for years, replacing it with something far more complex, but also more genuine. True unity, after all, is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to confront it, to apologize, and to forgive. Jin's apology, Jungkook's tears, these are not signs of weakness within BTS, but signs of growth, proof that their bond is strong enough to withstand turbulence. Yet whether the world will accept this more complicated version of BTS remains uncertain. Will fans embrace the reality of imperfection, or will they cling to the idealized image that has long been projected? Critics argue that the very fact this moment became known to the public at all suggests an intentional leak, perhaps even a calculated act meant to shape narratives. Was the apology truly private, or was it allowed to surface in order to convey a message to the world? If so, what message? That BTS's relationships are genuine? That they're willing to admit mistakes? Or that they, like anyone else, carry the scars of conflict and reconciliation? Such questions add a layer of intrigue that complicates any attempt at definitive interpretation. The human dimension, however, remains undeniable. Behind the speculation, behind the theories, lies a simple truth. Jin showed up to apologize, and Jungkook cried. Stripped of context, that fact alone speaks volumes. It speaks of vulnerability, accountability, and the courage to face difficult truths. It speaks of the burden of fame, of the personal costs carried silently behind dazzling performances. And it speaks of the enduring need for connection, even when the world expects nothing but strength. For ARMYs, the incident has become more than just a story about two members. It has become a mirror through which they examine their own experiences of forgiveness, reconciliation, and emotional release. The discourse online reflects this, with fans sharing their own stories of apologies long overdue, of relationships healed by a single gesture, of tears shed when words were finally spoken. In this way, Jin and Jungkook's moment transcends BTS. It becomes a universal narrative of what it means to be human under pressure, to admit fault, to forgive, and to see or why as the dust settles, the unanswered questions linger. What exactly did Jin apologize for? Why did Jungkook react with such intensity? What was inside the gift box? Was this the closing of an old wound or the opening of a new chapter? And perhaps most haunting of all, what does this mean for the future of BTS? Will this apology strengthen the group, or does it hint at tensions that have yet to fully surface? The world may never know the full truth, but the power of the moment lies precisely in its ambiguity. One thing remains certain: the image of Jin at Jungkook's door, the words of apology carried on his breath, and the sight of Jungkook breaking down in tears will not fade easily from memory. It is a moment that has already secured its place in the lore of BTS, not as a polished performance or a scripted speech, but as a raw, unfiltered fragment of reality. And it leaves the world with a single, unrelenting question: what truly happened that night when Jin showed up at Jungkook's house with an apology?